Paul and I were crewed up together on the ARV. I think we were on at a collision on the motorway at the time. It was about somewhere just before 1 in the morning, I think. We got a call about a firearms job that was developing. The information was that there was a male who'd rang the police, said he was locked and loaded and ready for police and effectively wanted death by cop. There was officers on the scene, some unarmed officers who were performing obs from a distance, and they reported in that this male was out in the street with a long-barrelled firearm of some description. 2 members of our 5-man firearms team were still some miles away, so we were incomplete as a team at that point. But I had a G36 carbine and a launcher, less lethal, with us, and we obviously started moving up the street. I was on the left-hand side of the road with my crewmate Paul, and it was at that point that I heard a shot whistle past my head. So there was a little bit of colourful language where I told my colleagues exactly what I just experienced, so they knew exactly what the threat was, and we continued up to try and contain him.
We could immediately hear the crack of rounds coming down the street, so made our way to the sides of the street, to the building lines and vehicles, shouting across to each other what we're going to do.
We were using the furniture on the left-hand side of the road where my crewmate and I were heading up, so just going in between small garden walls and crouching down behind them basically and hoping for dear life that nothing hit us. We advanced up to the property and the male ended up disappearing back into his bungalow.
The lights were on inside the premises. I could see the shadow and I could hear him, and at one point I definitely heard a round come out of there. So I'm assuming he's shooting at me colleagues. And at that point I'm thinking, you know, as soon as he comes out here, he's non-compliant, he's shooting out there, he's putting colleagues at risk as well as members of the public. And I think, I'm gonna have to shoot this guy.
And a short while later, the front door burst open. At this point I was screaming for all I was worth, trying to communicate with this lad.
I thought, he's not going to comply, he's going to come out all guns blazing like he said he was going to.
He's already signified his intent. He wants death by cop. That's why he's called us and that's why he wants us there. And obviously I don't want to do that, so just screaming at him, out of desperation really, to try and get him to comply and put the guns down so everyone could go home safely. The door flung open. He staggered around the corner, still with a weapon in his hand.
A long-barrel weapon came flying out the door. It was massive, unbelievable relief for me. And then to be surprised, a handgun follows it, which I didn't realise, didn't know about.
I managed to talk him down onto his knees at the end of his garden path. I didn't want to give him a chance to change his mind and pick the weapons up again because it was still a really live situation and there was still a real threat that we were going to have to take action and stop the threat by shooting him ultimately. So I ditched my carbine and re-rolled to the launcher and charged at him basically, ran at him, jumped on top of him and restrained him, and then we managed to get him handcuffed. It was the closest I've ever come to discharging a weapon. And to be honest, the more impactful and the more upsetting debrief was when I got home and was telling my wife about it. And I don't mind admitting that I burst into tears when I was telling her. I think I was just so up a height with emotion that it was such a, it was a scary thing.
A nightmare if you've got to, especially because people need help usually. But he was a danger to my colleagues and he was a danger to the public, and I'm just pleased he didn't have to.